Hi, welcome along to Transfer Daily, and good to be here again today. Now, listen, I thought I'd take a look on today's show at the whole Falcao thing. Yet again, we've been linked with a move for Falcao, and I was just thinking to myself, is it just a dream or is it a reality? Is this something that could possibly happen? Could Robbie Falcao turn up at the Emirates on Monday? There's a lot of people out there who say, listen, it's just a load of rubbish out there. It's just, pipe dream. And there's other people who are saying out there, listen, there's a possibility that this could happen. Now, going off of past Arsenal signings, I just cannot see it. I've been saying it for days, excuse me, that I just can't see how this deal could happen. How could we possibly sign Falcao? They're talking about a £20 million loan deal for a season. The wages, all right, the wages will be covered, I suppose, in some aspects, but the wages are humongous. It's just not an Arsenal type of deal. It's just not an Arsene Wenger type of deal to take a player on loan for 1 year that would cost £20 million. But then on the other hand, I keep looking at it and thinking these rumours don't go away. They were saying yesterday that Arsenal representatives were supposed to meet Falcao's agent in Monaco. There's also talk yesterday that Real Madrid have dropped out of the race, leaving the coast clear for Arsenal if they want to go in and bid for him. There's other people saying out there that as it gets closer to the window, the amount of money required to bring him in on loan would lessen, and Arsenal would be able to get him for even less. And I don't know. I've just been looking at it and thinking, is this something that could possibly happen? I mean, we've seen over the past couple of seasons that Arsenal have pulled major deals out of the bag. Of course, the Ozil deal, which went down to the wire, and this season, Alexis Sanchez for £35 million. We have started to spend big money on players. And if we did bring in a player like Falcao with his pedigree, I mean, imagine the fear factor of that. Falcao, Alexis Sanchez, say Theo Walker up front. I mean, that would be an amazing attacking threat with guys like Ramsey in there as well. It'd be an amazing team. But is this just something that's just a rumour that's out there, just, a malicious, well, no, I wouldn't say malicious rumour, but just agents trying to talk up the deal, or is this something that can happen? I mean, Arsene Wenger yesterday, when he was asked about Falcao, he denied it, but he denied everything. He didn't sort of, like in the past when he's spoken about Balotelli and that, just say, listen, rubbish, absolute rubbish, completely out of hand. He just sort of said to every single thing that was thrown at him, he just said, no, we're going to be active right up till Monday. No, no, no. That's what he said. Now, I don't know. I don't know how you guys are thinking. Is it possible, or is it just, a pipe dream? I really don't know. And I really like to hear from what you guys and see what you guys think about it. We will find out by Monday. I've got to be honest, if I'm looking at it honestly, I'd have to say I just can't see how it could happen, but you never know. Let's take a look at some of the other deals. Socrates, I'm not going to attempt to say his surname. I tried that yesterday. My Greek ain't that great. But again, it's been said today that Arsenal are in heavy talks with Socrates. They want to bring him in from Dortmund. His stock would have gone up because he scored last night for Dortmund as they beat A.F.C. Augsburg over there in Germany. He scored a great header in that game, Socrates. He did start. So his money or his value would have risen up a bit because he's off to a great start for Dortmund. But Arsenal still in talks to try and bring him in. Apparently, as we said, he can play. We know he can. He's a centre-back. That's his position. But he's also capable of playing as a defensive midfielder as well. So that could be that player that Arsenal are looking for that can cover more than one position. Another centre-back that Arsenal have been linked with today, and this one's quite interesting, is Virgil van Dijk. He plays for Celtic, centre-back as well. And, in Scotland, he's considered the best, centre-back there is in the whole league. Big, imposing player. Has done really, really well for Celtic. Of course, Celtic got knocked out of the Champions League this week, and speaking to the press, he said that, he doesn't know where his future lies, whether he's going to stay at Celtic. He'd like to challenge himself with, bigger and better things. And he's on the radar of a lot of Premier League clubs and has been linked with a move to Arsenal. So that's Virgil van Dijk, another possible player who could fill that centre-back position. Probably wouldn't mind playing second fiddle to Koscielny and Mertesacker because he knows that he's going to be playing on the very biggest stage. The Adrian Rabiot thing that rumbles on, there are a lot of reports that Roma have beaten us to the signature of Rabiot, which will be another coup for Roma. Remember, they beat us to Costas Manolas. Well, apparently they've agreed a deal to sign Rabiot. They haven't agreed personal terms yet, is what I understand, but they've agreed a fee. It's going to boil down to where Rabiot wants to go. Does he want to come to Arsenal or does he want to go to Roma? It looks to me that Arsenal definitely very interested in him. He definitely wants to leave. 1 year left on his deal, but apparently a lot of people reporting that that the clubs have agreed, should I say, PSG and Roma. It's down to Rabiot where he wanted to go. There were even reports yesterday that Arsene Wenger put in another one of his legendary phone calls, like what he did to Alexis Sanchez, to Rabiot, to try and persuade him to come to Arsenal. Again, that's another one of those that's going to go down to the wire, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Remember, only 2 days left, and we will find out who Arsenal have signed for this summer window. Alessio Serki is another player now. Interestingly, I spoke about Falcao right at the top of the programme, and interestingly now, the targets for strikers are diminishing. We've heard yesterday that Chelsea, now that Fernando Torres has decided to leave the club and he's joined AC Milan on a 2-year loan, we've heard that Chelsea are in talks with Queen's Park Rangers about signing Loic Remy, and I think that's more or less definitely going to happen if they're in talks. He's not going to turn down a move to Chelsea, so it looks like Chelsea are going to get Loic Remy, which leaves the amount of attacking options out there if we are going to get another striker, which Wenger seems reluctant to do so, even with the injury of Giroud. But it really reduces the amount of targets out there that we can sign in that position. Now, another player that's been coming up over the past few days is Alessio Serki, Italian player, plays for Torino, had a great season last year. President of Torino came out yesterday and said, listen, he is for sale. He does want to leave. I think he came out and said that there's no way he's going to sell him to, I think it was Juventus, but he would be open to selling him to Arsenal. So again, Serki, another player that could be on the move to Arsenal. More of a winger really than a striker, but Arsene Wenger, he doesn't always necessarily have to have an out-and-out striker. He can convert players. Seems a weird one to me. If he's going to get a striker, I would have thought he'd be going for somebody more of a target man type, similar to Giroud, so that he can continue to play that style of football with that big target man player, especially away from home. So Serki, I'd be a bit surprised about, but he's still being linked. And another player I think that we can rule out, we heard yesterday from the president of that club, and that is Luis Gustavo. President coming out yesterday and saying Gustavo's not going anywhere, will not be joining Arsenal, so we can rule that out. So again, that again drops down the amount of targets for that defensive midfielder position. We haven't heard nothing about Carvalho yesterday. We haven't heard anything about any of those other sort of defensive midfield targets. I really think this is looking like something that's going to boil right down to the last day or last couple of days. So tomorrow and Monday is when I think there's going to be a lot of movement on Arsenal. And Arsene Wenger in his press conference yesterday saying that he is going to be active in the window right up until Monday. So it's going to be one of those busy Mondays down there at the ground. And don't forget, we'll be down there on the ground on Monday. We'll be talking to fans. We'll be reacting first as soon as any news comes through on any signings into Arsenal. So make sure you check out all of our live shows throughout the day. We're going to be doing loads and loads of live shows, putting out videos as things happen. So make sure you stay tuned to Arsenal Fan TV throughout the day on Monday, because we'll be giving you all the latest transfer roundups. Forget about Jim White, you've got Robbie. Right, listen, let's get into a few of your comments here and see what you guys are saying about the rumours again today. Ace Buddyfly said, Roma beat us again. I can't stand stingy Wenger. Arsene Wenger, he started off so great in this window, but he started to get stick again. Pago says Winston Reed and Alessio Serki. He'd be happy with that. EMD Tutorial says, Robbie, you were amazed of Campbell, and now you don't consider him as a possible striker. No, I think the best position for Campbell is coming in off the wings. I don't think he's an out-and-out striker. We saw that in the World Cup. He sort of faded in that position as the competition went on. He's not great at holding up the ball, etc. He's a guy, you need the ball in behind. He can use his pace and trickery, and I don't think he's that out-and-out striker. I'm hoping that if it boils down to that, he can prove me wrong, but certainly he doesn't look like that to me. Cameron Spencer says to me, Rabiot has already signed. Okay, all right, I haven't heard that, but he's saying that he thinks Rabiot has already signed. Who for? For us or Roma? And Damien Scott says, we're not buying another striker. We need a centre-back and a CDM. Well, you know, have to wait and see what happens. Yas Speak says, Falcao wants way too much money, so he'll stay at Monaco and we should just forget about it. Okay, you could be right, you could be right. Bernard says too much hype around Falcao for him to be coming in. Also, way too many dollars. Jack Barnes says Higuain cost Napoli £27 million, so we'd have to pay even more than that, around £35 million, and that's not possible. I think what he's saying, because I know a lot of you guys have been debating even before the show started here in the comment section. And there have been some fans saying, why don't we go and get Higuain? They've been knocked out Napoli of the Champions League. I mean, Higuain, he must be kicking himself and thinking, I wish I'd have gone to Arsenal. That's going to be another season where Napoli are out of the Champions League. And there's been suggestions that why don't Arsenal try and move in and try and get Higuain? Again, I don't think Napoli would sell Higuain, so I don't think that's a goer. Ben Ganim 98 said, let's go all out for Carvalho. Whatever. We've got other ones we've got here. So many of them, as usual. I've really been impressed with you guys in this comment section. I love the way you guys are always talking to each other. It's been brilliant. Mikalash says, Falcao 20 million on loan. That's unbelievable wages. Rena Shady says, I'm really a pessimist and don't believe we'll sign anyone based on what we did last summer. Suraj Singh says, Daniel Agger. Trollio says, Higuain or Falcao. Eddie Torres says, we just need a good centre-back. We don't need a CDM or vice versa. Durav says, what about Boney? Well, listen, we're going to find out. There's only 2 days to go, 2 more transfer dailies, 2 more days to go until we find out exactly who we have signed. We're crying out for a centre-back. We're crying out for a defensive midfielder. And I think we need a striker, and it's going to be really interesting to see who we do bring in. But, hey, let's keep dreaming about Falcao. You never know. It might happen.